Now, I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories at this hour. Survivors recount experience after tanker explosion that claimed about 150 lives. Government issues warning to residents living close to River Benue. Kenyan Senate opens impeachment hearings against Deputy President. Details shortly. The news begins in northern Nigeria, where survivors of a fuel tanker explosion in Jigawa State have given the account of how crowds of people had rushed to collect fuel spilling from the crashed tanker before the blast happened. The survivors explained how they narrowly escaped the explosion, which tore through the crowd, killing at least 147 people. The explosion occurred around 12:30 a.m. yesterday when the driver of the tanker, en route from Kano to Nguru in Yobe State, lost control near Khadija University in Majiya. According to Police Public Relations Officer of the Jigawa State Command, Lawan Adam, the tragedy was triggered by residents rushing to collect spilled petrol after the tanker overturned. Meanwhile, a mass burial has been held for the victims of a tragic tanker explosion.
Na ebo mai na ke son farko gida na dawo kenan na aje mashina na cikin gyara shi wutan nan ta tashi ina gudun tsira takai kowa ce makamin a lokacin wannan Allah ya ce mai kan mashinan da suke gurin wannan ni nawa ne kadai Allah ya sa ya tsira da ni da shi da Allah bai sa na shi cikin wannan gurin ba bayan haka da ni ma ina cikin gurin inda wannan mutane suke ina tsaye haka bayan mutane su dan iba an samu wajen minti ma 30 ma zuwa 40 ana iban wannan man ana tafiya da shi to titin ma ya bushe ba wani maganar laima ko wani abu mai daga baya kawai muna tsaye haka daidai inda mutane su kone muna ciki kawai sai wani abu buu haka ya to gaba daya shi wuta ce
thinking that it's an off. They didn't know, little did they know that it is a cause of death. So some of them that engaged in fetching this fuel were caught up with the fire. In the process of taking, there is a flash of light, and the place.
Let's now tell you that the federal government has issued a warning to Nigerians living near the River Benue to move to safer areas as water levels rise due to heavy rainfall. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NIHSA, raised the alarm, saying the flooding risk is high. NIHSA Director-General Umar Mohammed also advised those along the River Niger to relocate as dam managers at Kanji and Jeba work to control water flow. He urged Nigerians to cooperate with emergency agencies to minimize flood damage. And this follows the release of water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon, which has caused widespread flooding in recent years, including deadly incidents in 2023 and 2024. And I will move to politics, where there are indications that the crisis rocking the Labour Party has taken a new dimension with the alleged resignation of members from the party. Candidates who emerged to fly the flag of the Labour Party for the local government election as councillors and chairmen are said to have been directed to resign their membership of the party and register with the Zenith Labour Party. Our correspondent Chinwe Ugele tells us more.
The recent judgment by a federal high court in Abuja recognizing Julius Abure as the authentic chairman of Labour Party in Nigeria obviously dealt a blow on the new structure of the party. Apparently, in order to avoid suffering possible invalidation of their election due to nomination of candidates who emerged from the caretaker committee's faction, they have duly resigned their membership of Labour Party and pitched tents with the Zenith Labour Party.
We have only one Labour Party in the country, in Nigeria, and that is the one led by Abure. So there is no other.
The chairman of the Zenith Labour Party in Abia State, Prince Onukwe, in an interview with journalists, confirms the registration of new members in his party.
We prepare for the election even before the Labour people come and join us. And we determined to win. And the politics is a game of number. And that is why when they came to join us, we are happy, so that we add with additional number we have.
Although he will not give details of the new entrants, News Central TV has it on good authority that those who recently joined the ZLP are the candidates who emerged from the parallel faction of the Labour Party.
I'm not a card carrier of Labour Party. I cannot verify that this man has bought form, this man has bought form, but I can't verify. What I will verify is from my own party.
However, the national vice chairman of the Labour Party under the Julius Abure's faction, CK Ikara, says the Labour Party's candidates are still intact.
We have filed the list of our candidates, and that is the much I know. We have filed the list of our candidates. If they are entering into Zenith Labour, I am not aware.
Onukwe is excited that he is receiving people into his party despite what circumstances necessitated it, and appreciates the governor for his directives.
I observed that Governor Lesoti tell them to join us because he doesn't want any people to be distracting him from the good job he's doing from Abians. So if you people observe what is going on now, you know that in the Labour Party, there is a hard problem within themselves.
The local government election in Abia State is only 2 weeks away, yet some political parties are still confused about steps to be taken. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
The International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, observed on October 17th every year, provides opportunity to reflect on the plights of the poor, marginalized and vulnerable populations around the world. In 2024, this day holds special importance for Nigeria as the country faces severe economic challenges, including skyrocketing inflation, widespread unemployment, and worsening insecurity under President Bola Tinubu's regime. Nigeria is home to one of the world's largest populations of people living in extreme poverty. As of 2024, over 40% of population lives on less than $1.90 a day, according to the World Bank estimates. And to unpack this, we're joined by Katie Van, who is UNICEF's Deputy Executive Director for Partnerships. It's good to have you, Jamie, on the program.
Thank you.
Let me kick off by asking, what's the vision or mission of UNICEF as it impacts poverty of children in Nigeria?
Look, our mandate as UNICEF is really to make sure that children from conception to the end of adolescence have every right to survive, to thrive, and to be equipped for a future that looks very different than when I left high school. So we're really here from humanitarian crisis to development to skilling of young people for a green economy to make sure that we invest together with the public sector, so the government of Nigeria, with the private sector partners, to make sure that children actually have every chance in the world to escape what you were just mentioning, deep entrenched poverty and marginalization.
If you could share with us some initiative you have carried out as regards poverty, eradicating poverty among children, also those affected by climate disasters. You could share with us some of those initiatives.
So we work around all of the sectors that have implications for children's well-being, from education to nutrition to health issues, social protection. But let me take, for example, education. We know in Nigeria we have a lot of children that are still out of school. How do we bring them back in school in a way that they are educated in a meaningful way? And so we work with private sector partners, we work with the government partners, the Ministry of Education at federal and at state level, to look at curriculum development, to look at school meals, for example, so that children are attracted to school with free school meals, to educate teachers, and really to take a holistic approach, including, for example, sanitation facilities for girls. All of these things matter, not just to draw back boys and girls to school, but also to keep them in school and to ensure that teachers have the quality to actually ensure that children learn something meaningful. On climate change, let me just say how important it is that we work with community health workers to be able to detect, to diagnose, and to treat climate change impacts in pregnant mothers and particularly in newborns. Most people don't know that most impacts of climate change come from under very young children. 88% of the health burden falls on under 5 years of age children. So making sure that our health workers know how to detect it, and how to treat it is absolutely essential for child well-being. And so we work with the government and with the health ministry to really equip the community health workers so they can help overcome the new big challenge that is facing children, that is climate change.
Well, still talking about children, what will be your recommendation to the government, to those in authority, especially to help improve the well-being of children in Nigeria and also try to eradicate poverty among children in Nigeria?
Look, I think, first of all, we need to do what the president has said at the budget speech in 2023. He literally said, children are the foundation of the future. And that is so true. So investing in children is an economically rational decision. It's not a cherry on the cake. It is an essential part of the recipe of economic transformation to make sure that children are healthy, that they're educated, that they are equipped, but also, and this is an important part for the future of Nigeria with a very young population, that they're skilled with the green and digital skills that will actually land them a job, which is a pathway to a life in dignity and prosperity. So across the entire chain, listening to those words, children are the foundation of the future. Let's invest in them because they're worthy of every investment.
Well, many thanks for your time on the news. Katie Van, UNICEF Deputy Executive Director for Partnerships. Many thanks indeed
Thanks
for your
having
time.
me.
And still on the day on the eradication of poverty, some schools in the Federal Capital Territory have expressed their determination to break in barriers limiting their potentials to achieving their dream careers. And this is as non-government organizations beyond the classroom marked its 2024 International Day of the Girl Child with a mentoring session meant to empower the girls to envision and shape the world that they want to live in. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudo, tells us more.
A show of power, zeal and determination to break the barriers limiting the girls from achieving their potentials erected by society. This includes barriers erected by religion and tradition, where the girl child is not really given her place and voice in the society, but made to be seen as a lesser being in the scheme of things. The Beyond the Classroom Foundation is inculcating in these girls life skills, including the principles of self-reliance, self-confidence, and self-motivation.
Girls want to be teachers, girls want to be medical doctors, girls want to be nurses, and all that, which shows that our girls are actually bold, smart, and very intelligent, looking forward to the future.
So what we try to do at Beyond the Classroom is not just to bring out women who are very far off on TV, women who they can't reach. We try to ensure that we bring mentors who they can reach, people who have gone beyond their odds, people who they can see face to face and say, oh, hey, this person achieved this. If the person can do that, I can do that also. It's great that we have the likes of Okonjo-Iweala on TV that they can see and emulate, but we realize that for most of them, they want mentors that they can feel and see face to face and talk to and be inspired by them. I think that the face-to-face contact helps better than to have role models that you don't have any reach to. So for us, it's more of a mentor-mentee relationship to build girls than a role modeling one.
My name is Adedugba Aisha.
Aisha Demka, one of the girls, reeled out her dream of breaking into the male-dominated engineering field.
I want to be a mechanical engineer in future because I have always had a love of cars since I was 5. And I want to be the first person, because fuel nowadays in Nigeria is very, very expensive. So I want to be build that kind of car that when you have a car, you don't have to, have that fear of going to buy fuel or do all those kind of things. You're just powered by water, and water is like everywhere. It's like 70% of our nation. Because since I was small, I've always heard that girls are the ones that are supposed to cook, the ones that are supposed to do all those house chores for the men. But I want to say that the president in England, she was a woman. She was a girl before she became a woman. And she was the one that made England like the best country it was today.
If people can continue to do more programs like this to help the world to become a better place for women.
For the men should also support the girls. The men, that's why I'm saying that what we're doing here today is an awareness campaign, an enlightenment campaign to help men know that they need the women to also do well. The women need to contribute their own quota to the society.
The event is organized in commemoration of the 2024 International Day of the Girl Child, with the theme Girls, Vision for the Future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Let's take a short break. When we return, a federal high court adjourns 2 billion naira suit against Nigerian army. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned a 2 billion naira fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by former caretaker chairman of Southern Ijaw local government Bayelsa State, Mr. Lucky Okode, until November 28th. Justice Binta Nyako made a decision on Thursday after Okode's counsel, Asmao Yunusa, requested more time to respond to a counter affidavit filed by the legal representative for the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. The case, originally filed in May by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, involves Okode suing both the Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, and Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, over allegations that his photograph was wrongfully published among those wanted in connection with the killing of 17 soldiers in Okwama, Delta State. And during Thursday's proceedings, Justice Nyako suggested that both parties could resolve the issue amicably rather than prolonging the legal battle, and adjourned the case to further mention on November 28th. She also ordered that the second respondent be served with a hearing notice. Former president of Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakoba, has drawn the attention of the National Assembly to constitutional issues related to law enforcement agencies in Nigeria and factors in beating the government's objective of abolishing corruption, as stated in Section 13 of the Constitution. In two separate letters to the Senate and House of Representatives, he said the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission was an unlawful organization which he believed was unconstitutionally established. The letters were addressed separately to the Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu. The Deputy Speaker doubles as the Chairman, House Committee on Constitution Review, while Senator Jibrin is Chairman, Senate Committee on Constitution Review. A coalition of civil society organizations have condemned the recent suit filed at the Supreme Court by a group of 16 governors in Nigeria to nullify the existence of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. The coalition made this known to newsmen in Abuja, saying that the suit is an attempt to legalize the money laundering and deny citizens basic social needs like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. They called on citizens to resist the move by the governors, putting an eye on the nation's judiciary before the country is destroyed.
What they are doing is not only a joke, but is something that is threatening the foundation of even our country. Because if you say that people should be allowed to loot and steal, then you have democratized and liberalized looting and stealing in the country. And we cannot be watching this to happen, because this is not what democracy stands for.
We also call for increased oversight by the Financial Intelligence Unit to continue its oversight of the funds that are appropriated and deployed to local governments to ensure strict adherence to the ruling of the Supreme Court.
We reject any attempt to undermine the integrity of Nigeria anti-corruption framework and call on all Nigeria to join us in defending the existing and effectiveness of all our anti-corruption agencies. The financial autonomy of our local government councils is non-negotiable.
Members of the Edo State Market Women's Association and Traders Welfare Union staged a peaceful protest at the Oba Palace in Benin, calling for removal of their president, Blackie Ogiamien, over allegations of corruption. Now, the protesters accused Ogiamien of high-handedness and failing to account for 100 million naira in donated funds. Our correspondent, Austin Azu, has details.
Aggrieved members of the Edo State Market Women's Association and Traders Welfare Union, carrying placards with various inscriptions, marched through major roads in Benin City, paralyzing human and vehicular movements before arriving at the Oba's Palace, where they voiced their grievances. spokesman for the Edo Traders Welfare Union, Lucky Urukbe, called for the immediate removal of the association's president, Blackie Ugiame, citing alleged high-handedness and failure to account for the organization's finances. Urukbe alleged that the funds in question include 100 million naira donated to the association by Senator Adams Oshomole during his tenure as governor of the state, which Ogiame has yet to account for. With this revelation, the traders are seeking the intervention of the paramount traditional ruler in the state.
2013, Adams Oshomole can give 100 million naira for market women for 3 senatorial districts for 18 local governments for a Magwero Hall. They go hand over and give Blackie Ogiame. So now we're going to ask Blackie since 2013. We never see any Benin woman, any Esa woman or Auchi will benefit from the 100 million. He said, make we go do what we want to. Say the 100 million, not be market women where they sell for market or for road, now they give. Say now and meeting people, now they give. As we talk now, the 100 million still there with them.
Speaking on behalf of the Benin Palace Chiefs, the Onyoba of Benin, Isaac Ogwafa, assured the protesters that justice will be served while cautioning against any acts of violence. Ogiame has earlier sworn at traditional shrines, denying any wrongdoing. In Edo State for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Nigeria's federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with GE Healthcare and the Journal of the National Cancer Institute to boost capacity of biomedical engineers across the country. Nigeria's Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, during the signing-in ceremony, says that the initiative will help address the dwindling number of biomedical engineers in the country and give millions of young Nigerians opportunity to obtain degrees as biomedical engineers. The managing directors of both the JNCI and GE Healthcare affirmed the organization's commitments to training 5 students from the nation's biomedical schools of engineering in 5 states of Enugu, Maiduguri, Edo, and Zaria, as well as Lagos State.
Starting with really doing diagnostic studies of what biomedical engineering school needs. We've done curriculum development. Thank you, JNCI and GE, for coming to our aid, helping to update our curriculum to meet the test of time, to meet evidence-based learning. And we're doing this in a way, in a very deliberative and calculative way, to make sure that engineers that we're training really have a good background to work as biomedical engineers, and also to expand opportunity to our millions of young men and women.
As you know, sir, there are 3 parts to make a hospital and get quality. First, you need the right kind of infrastructure. Second, you need to make sure you have the right quality of equipment. And third, you need to have the people. And I think that the people element is so important. So for us in the private sector to be working alongside the public sector and your schools to be able to upgrade the level of biomedical engineering is so important.
We are really happy that today we are creating a path for young engineers to gain real-world experience and practical application of their studies.
The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has called for the responsible use of artificial intelligence to safely guard the nation's democratic process against fake news and disinformation. Kalu made the call while addressing delegates at the 149th Interparliamentary Union in Geneva, Switzerland, with the theme, Harnessing Science, Technology and Innovation for a More Peaceful and Sustainable Future. He says there is need to bridge the global technology gap that exists between developed and developing countries, adding that Nigeria is ready to play a lead role within the African continent.
System. Recent development in artificial intelligence are posing threats to this, especially the spread of disinformation and cyber vulnerabilities in the election system. Irrespective of this, Nigeria continues to support international efforts to develop inclusive, to develop transparent and ethical AI framework that protect human rights and democratic values. We call for AI responsible use to safeguard the integrity of democratic processes, particularly against threats such as deepfakes and the spread of disinformation. As a country that champions democratic governance, Nigeria seeks to lead in discussions on AI, role in protecting the rule of law. Our ongoing development of the national AI policy will establish the legal foundation necessary to protect citizens' rights while enabling innovation to strive.
Coming up, Chadian president makes sweeping changes to defense and security leadership. We have details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. Chadian President Mohammed Idris Deby Itno has made sweeping changes to the country's defense and security leadership just days after the dismissal of the security minister. In a decree issued late Wednesday, several high-ranking officials were removed from their positions, including director-generals of both the police and military police, the chiefs of general staff of armed forces, and the commanders of the National Nomadic Guard. They have all been reassigned to other roles. And this follows Saturday's announcement on state television that Security Minister Muhammad Chafaddin Magiu had been replaced by General Ali Hamlet Akabache. This reshuffle comes amidst growing political and security tensions in the Central African nation. Kenya's Senate began impeachment hearings against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Wednesday, hours after a court said proceedings were constitutional, clearing the way for a vote on his dismissal this week. This follows the Kenya's National Assembly voting to impeach Deputy President on 11 charges, which include corruption, undermining the government, and stirring ethnic hatred. However, Gachagua has denied all charges. He had launched a legal challenge against the impeachment proceedings in the High Court, but Judge Eric Ogola said the process could go ahead. The deputy president was Ruto's running mate in their 2022 election win, helping secure vital votes from the populous central Kenya region, but he has seen falling outs and political alliances have shifted. Ukraine says it seeks South Africa's support in peace efforts and campaign to reduce abducted children. According to Andriy Yermak, head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, he highlighted Ukraine's effort to return thousands of children abducted by Russia and sought South Africa's support in peace and humanitarian initiatives. Now, this is highlighted in the findings of a recent white paper safeguarding children from forced transfers and deportation. The white paper documents evidence of Russia's systematic deportation and forced relocation of Ukrainian children, analyzes potential violations of international law, and provides recommendations to protect children's rights and facilitate their safe return. Mr. Yermak also announced that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky intended to visit South Africa soon, viewing it as an opportunity to open a new page of relationship. And to unpack this, we're joined by Tizavinka Kacho, President of Ukrainian Association of South Africa. She joins us live from Cape Town in South Africa. Good afternoon from here. Let me kick off by asking, how you can explain to us the state of things now regarding abduction as well as forced relocation of Ukrainian children by the Russian Authority. How many children are being reported missing, and what age groups are mostly affected?
Thanks a lot for having me. There are 19,500 cases of documented Ukrainian children forcefully deported to Russia. Unfortunately, Russia declares that there are 700,000 Ukrainian children that they have deported, and the critical issue is that on the 30th of May 2022, Russian president has signed the decrees that allows to change the citizenship of Ukrainian children without consent, without their consent, or without parental or guardian consent. And in this process, their name, surname, and date of birth also can be modified. So we are talking about dozens, thousands of children that have been forcefully transferred. Some of them were without parental care during the time of transfer. Some of them were forcefully separated from their parents in the filtration camps, because those territories that are occupied, Russia runs filtration camps, so every single person has to be checked. If for any reason Russia decides to detain a parent or guardian, then the child will be sent to Russia and would go through this process when citizenship is changed and also name, surname is modified, and those children are fast-tracked for adoption. And we already have more than 300 cases documented where these children were identified in Russia and they were adopted by Russian families. So this is a very large group of children, at least 20,000, but Russia declares that they have 700,000 of Ukrainian children.
Well, I can't help but ask you, what legal actions are being pursued by Ukraine to hold accountable those responsible for this abduction, as well as forced relocation of children, Ukrainian children?
So first of all, this is absolutely illegal to change citizenship of children without consent. And transferring of children from one ethnic group to another is falling under the Convention of Genocide. Specifically, this legal act that Putin have signed on changing citizenship of Ukrainian children without consent is the reason why ICC issued the warrant of arrest. So this is immediate legal action that has been done because this is very clear. This is legislation that has been signed. There is no need for further investigation because this legislation goes against international law. It does not allow to change citizenship of children without consent. But obviously, it's been almost 3 years. On the 19th of November will be 1,000 of days of full-scale invasion, and it's more than 10 years since Russia invaded in Ukraine. And already since 2014, Russia has started this practice of forceful deportation, separation from the caregivers of Ukrainian children. So this is not a new issue, but there is no currently mechanism how to return Ukrainian children. So those children that have been on a territory of Russia for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, obviously they are not allowed to speak Ukrainian language, that are not allowed to show any support towards their motherland. And those of them who are turning 18 are sent letters for conscription to join Russian army.
Well, my next question to you naturally will be, why South Africa? And then how do you envision their role in supporting efforts to bring back these children? What are you looking at in terms of specifics of the actions in bringing back Ukrainian children?
I think, first of all, South Africa we see as one of the leaders on the continent in defending children's rights. When South Africa became a democratic country, this was the first international agreement that South Africa signed on children's rights. So we hope that South Africa can also lend its voice to Ukrainian children. President Ramaphosa, when it's visited Russia as a part of African peace mission, in July 2023, asked President Putin to return Ukrainian children. Putin replied no, and unfortunately, South Africa didn't do any more steps towards returning Ukrainian children. However, we hope that being part of BRICS and also regularly negotiating with Russia, this issue of returning Ukrainian children can come up more. We hope that South Africa are going to, first of all, join the international coalition for returning of Ukrainian children. Also that South Africa will be that voice in Russia and will bring the topic of Ukrainian children more often, and also that when the UN resolution comes at the international level, the governments of all African countries will vote in support of such UN resolution, that all Ukrainian children can go back to their families and can be reintegrated to Ukrainian communities.
Well, do you have any system in place to sort of monitor these abducted children and also, track or prevent further occurrence?
Adebola, this is a massive issue because currently not even International Red Cross organization has access to those children. So there is absolutely no way how anyone can get access to those children. Russia does not share this information, and if South African or Nigerian human rights organization or governments can facilitate this process to get access to those children, to be able to monitor, this would be fantastic. At the moment, there is no such mechanism. Those children that were deported from Ukraine are sent to 59 regions in Russia. Some of them sent to Ossetia, occupied by Russia territory in Georgia. Some of them are sent to Belarus. So to identify where those children are, and they're registered as orphaned from those particular regions, it's really, really difficult. So we would like help from international community to find those children and identify their location in Russia.
Well, Desvinka Kacha, we wish you the best of luck with this. Thank you so much for your time on the news. President of Ukrainian Association of South Africa. Many thanks indeed.
Your time.
Still ahead, Pakistan police deployed tear gas amidst protests over rape on campus. We have details shortly. Join us again. Pakistani police have fired tear gas and charged the students, protesters who ransacked a college building as anger spread over alleged on-campus rape. Tensions have been high in college campuses since reports about the alleged rape in the eastern city of Lahore went viral on social media, and protests have broken out in 4 cities so far. Sexual violence against women is common in Pakistan, but is underreported because of the stigma attached to it in the conservative country, and protests about the issue have been rare. Thursday's violence started when hundreds of students demonstrated outside the campus in the city of Rawalpindi in Punjab province.
पार्किंग में हर दुनिया के घटिया से घटिया बिल्डिंग की भी पार्किंग में कैमरा है। इनकी पार्किंग में कोई कैमरा नहीं है। इतनी गंदी इनकी बिल्डिंग है, इतना इनके पास पैसा नहीं है कि कैमरा लगाएं। सब था, सारे सबूत थे, इन्होंने छुपाया। इन्होंने हुकूमत को और जो मेन बंदे थे उनको पैसे दिए कि इनके इदारे का नाम खराब ना हो। खुदा का नाम लो, अपनी तुम्हारी माएँ बेटियाँ, जो करना है तमीज से तरीके से इंसाफ से करो।
I saw that on social media. We got to know that she was raped by security guards. It was also like some sources were saying that the van driver, he was also involved in that.
सोशल मीडिया पे ऐसे ही तो नहीं ना आ रही, एक चीज़ वायरल हो रही है कि ये बात हुई है, ठीक है। हम एक पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, यहाँ पे पुलिस वालों ने आके बदतमीजी की, ठीक है। उन्होंने आके यहाँ पे शेलिंग की, यहाँ पे फायरिंग की। उन्होंने किस वजह से की? हम अपने हक के लिए निकले हैं, हम जस्टिस के लिए निकले हैं। पीजीसी में जिस लड़की के साथ नाइंसाफी हुई है, हम उसके लिए निकले हैं, ठीक है। और ये जो है कि फेक न्यूज़ है, दिस इज़ नॉट अ फेक न्यूज़।
Nigeria's oil regulator has rejected Shell's proposed $1.3 billion sale of its onshore oil fields to the Renaissance Group due to concerns over the buyer's qualifications to manage the asset. Shell, which owns this asset through Shell Petroleum Development Company, stated it is providing the regulator with all necessary information to facilitate the sale. The Renaissance Group consists of a consortium of 5 predominantly local companies. On Business Edge, Tolu Aderemi, a partner at Petstone and Gray Solicitors, shared his insight on the recurring challenges faced by domestic firms in such a large sector.
Insight, I'm also aware that quite a number, or no, not quite a number, a few of them also live in denial of technical capacity. Financial constraints will not even go into that. But technical capacity, there are quite a few of them that are struggling. Now, what the structure allows for is collaboration. So the Commission is not opposed or averse to you collaborating, and which is why, to my mind, I thought the 4 or 5 or 6 of them, which formed the consortium, would have pulled their strengths together. Now, and they are well-known companies. And we must constantly continue to encourage domestic exploration and production. But where you have evidence that the assets that is already allocated to you is operating suboptimally, in other words, you're operating less than 50% capacity, it makes no commercial or technical sense to allocate more resources.
In sports, tournament number 2 seed Nigeria's Quadri Aruna has been forced to withdraw from the men's singles event at the 2024 ITTF Africa Championships in Addis Ababa due to a thigh injury and fatigue. Despite leading Nigeria to a gold medal in the team event against Algeria in October 14, Aruna had to pull out of a second-round match against Benin Republic's Doji Fani. With several tournaments still ahead this year, including 2 more WTT champions and leagues in Saudi Arabia and France, Aruna emphasized the importance of recovery. Aruna will stay with the team to support the younger players and will depart Addis Ababa with them this weekend. After playing a few home games away from home, Kano Pillars is set to return to their original home, Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano. And due to renovations going on at the Sani Abacha Stadium, Pillars moved their home games to Mohammed Diko Stadium in Katsina State. According to the latest on Thursday morning, Pillars have been cleared to return home for their home games. Sani Abacha Stadium has been a fortress for Sai Musa Gida boys, and their strong home records played a key role when they won the league a few seasons ago. Despite playing away from home this season, Pillars have been one of the strongest teams. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Survivors recount experience after tanker explosion that claimed about 150 lives. Government issues warning to residents living close to River Benue. Kenya's Senate opens impeachment hearings against Deputy President. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, Channel 422, Star Times, Channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.